Greetings, it's Vaygrim, back again with a new video. This time, Tales from Mobius World. You will be joining me in progress with a conversation that I actually had with Professor Mobius, the developer of Opus, Java, Evok, and so many other mods. And Talnia, who has come to become a very integral part of the development team for all those mods with Professor Mobius. They now run a server that is a reward server for their Patreons, people that actually patronize and support Professor Mobius and his mod development. This was a conversation that started off informal and became more informative and interview style, and more may follow. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to listen. Hopefully, you'll learn some things, just like I did.
Hacky stuff, and it was old code I had since I started the mod, so 1 year ago or something, and just put it up to speed to be like not buggy. So, and I guess this bug must have been in Java since the first release, more or less.
Yeah, but this is one of those instances where you're just now seeing a lot of things that you didn't realize were issues because you're running the server now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's also because having other people playing give you how to say it when you, well, a simple example is this specific bug of picking a barrel with a dolly and showing up to other players.
Yeah.
Like I told you the other day, it's not something I will test normally. It's not like I'm running a server and two clients and like picking up the barrel and the other client I verify if something is right or wrong.
Yeah, it's a very unique and very specific problem.
It's rather time-consuming to run two test copies of something while you're working on the development of something. Just easier to just launch it in Eclipse, test it, and see if it works. So you really never see the multiplayer bugs until after the fact.
Well, it sounds complicated, but I'm not exactly a developer.
Well, to put it simply, can you run like two versions of Minecraft at the same time right now? On the same computer and play it at the same time?
Technically speaking, yes, but I think there might be fire involved as a result.
Yeah, well, when you want to test it like this, you have to run a server and two clients.
It gets annoying, basically.
Yeah.
So you're now discovering, because you've got the server, you're now discovering a lot of very unique and very specific kinds of bugs you wouldn't have known about before.
Yeah, and also like a lot of cross-mod interactions, stuff which were like when you test, you can only test on a limited amount of configurations. So you can try to push and pull stacks from using thermal expansion. You can do it with Buildcraft, but you can't test all the mods in all the situations. And by playing with the mod on a server like this, and it's not just playing; it's being able to iterate through versions.
Yeah.
So basically, when you see something, you fix it, you push it, and you can start working again on it. Because, for example, when I was the MCP server used to have more or less the latest version, but it was the latest version with 1 week difference. So I couldn't never really test my mod before like in a real environment before like pushing the mod out, because I had to wait for Sarge to update the server and everything.
Yeah.
So it was way more. It was slower.
Huh. So now, do you see it as you having a situation where you've got faster turnaround time on this?
Yeah, kinda, yeah. And you have more eyes on the on the mod itself, and a more direct interaction with the bug, which is like you don't get a bug report without comment, or a comment without bug report, or a ticket which have nothing to do with your mod, or you get like really direct information, which is much more interesting.
So I've done something very, very underhanded and very, very evil. I've actually been recording for about the last 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I'm speaking with this voice.
That's because
I
he's
knew
smart.
it because you're taking your voice, your like interview voice.
Well, it's
So-
also
I did notice rather pointed questions.
it is also the fact that I've had a rather severe amount of coffee because I just came from a birthday party. So,
Okay.
but
Oh, I hope you had fun.
it was my wife's birthday. Yes, thank you for asking. And it was fun. Yeah.
Happy birthday to your wife in this case.
Yes, happy birthday to her.
For the audience at home, this is my wife that thinks that Mr. Professor Mobius's accent is so sexy. I like putting him on the spot. But anyway, so normally I would have formal introductions and things like this, but in this particular case, I think it's more of an informal environment that we kind of want to shoot for. It's, we're having a conversation, basically.
Yeah.
And the server that I'm on right now, for everybody so that I can catch you up at home, everybody watching, this is basically the Mobius World server. This is a server that is now being hosted by Professor Mobius. Now, this does, of course, bring to light the whole Patreon thing that a lot of mod developers are now doing. And,
Yes.
yeah, well, you think that I see Patreon as a good move. Because one of the first things I noticed when I started doing YouTube stuff is the disparity between YouTubers can get some ad revenue for all of their work, but mod developers had no way of getting any counterbalance to that, if that makes sense.
Well, you can. It's you had ways before. You could put AdFly, which everyone loves
Universally
and
hates.
Right.
and but it doesn't really. I mean, it's unless you're now, even if you are like one of the top mods, it doesn't really bring anything. Just it annoys everyone. And you as a not a YouTuber but as a Twitch partner, you could also have subscription. Which
Okay.
makes sense in a sense because it's like people are making a show and the people who are like enjoying the show can give a little something to keep the show going. So it makes sense. But you didn't have anything like this for modders, basically. You couldn't like direct you call it direct donations never really took off.
Right.
Because it's really annoying. You have to click on the button and you have to fill the form and everything. And you didn't have like a subscription system. Well, you did, but they were not like really known. It was you could like what was the name? Tips. No.
Flatter.
Oh, I can't.
Flatter.
Yeah, you can. Well, it's what I was looking for. You could like flatter people, and you could set up like a recurring flattering thing. But same problem. It's you need to have the modder to have put flatter. You need to have like a flatter button on somewhere. So you have to have it like on a blog. So you have to follow the blog. And all that. So I think it was a bit more like a more complicated infrastructure.
So, just so everybody at home knows who everyone is, we do have two other gentlemen in the room besides me. We have Professor Mobius himself. Say hello, Professor. Thank you. And we also have Tailnia.
Hello.
Now, Tailnia, I'm not sure what kind of title you have taken on as of late, but you kind of went from 0 to full speed in terms of involvement in the Professor's mods.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. Mostly just I'm trying to help out where I can.
What happened is one day I just woke up and someone was like, take my code, look, take my code. Okay. which is more or less what happened.
Well, I've definitely seen Tailnia pull more than his own weight in terms of getting things done here on the server and helping you with some of the unique problems that you've come across here on the server.
Yeah, totally. I really appreciate the help.
Well, thank you.
So,
And I will try to help always in the future.
So basically, the situation is the server is called Mobius World, and this is a unique set of mods put together by your Patreon members. Is that correct? You had them vote on it?
Well, what it's the base of the mod pack was made by Sarge.
Okay.
For the MCP server, and I just took the pack, and after that I put together a Google Doc, so people could suggest mods and additions, and I tried to fit everything together, which was I think the worst week of my life. And yeah, so basically it's more or less what a basic idea had of a mod pack, a balanced mod pack with addition from patrons, and so now it's totally unbalanced. But looks like people are having fun on the server. So
well, you definitely tried your best to try and get as many of those mods as possible working within the first week the server was up, but it has been a slow weeding process and pruning process for you.
yeah, but I didn't prune many. I think it was just a couple of monster mods, and I don't know what I removed also, but I was quite amazed to be able to get everything working together, because I didn't really put together a lot of mods since before Forge. So if you can make if you can conceptualize the thing, it was last time I tried to do something like this. It was before you had compatibility layer like Forge.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely say that you've done some amazing work in terms of server stability, but the server is serving another purpose for you. As we were talking about earlier, it has basically become a testing platform for you to help iron out and improve your mods even quicker.
Yeah, and well, like we said, it provides a interesting environment, able to test everything and having people play with the mods and finding problems, or even gameplay problems, like something which is not right, or and on this side, it's for example Opis. I did put it out. I made the whole mod. I put it out with things I thought would help people, but I never really, since I didn't administrate a server, I couldn't really know what was needed. And now I see new stuff which would be interesting to be known, and better way of handling some stuff. And so it's it gives. In the case of Opis, for example, you put yourself in the situation where people are going to use your mod, and so you see better how to tweak it, so it's easier to use, or the things which doesn't make much sense, and so yeah, it's really interesting, and it also gives a lot of ideas in the term of administration mods. Gives a lot of ideas on what could be done, because
so you're actually getting new ideas as you're doing this of things you want to add to Opus.
Yeah,
Not just Opus.
To everything.
Yeah, not just Opus, but it's I always have ideas and making stuff. But this time around, I'm really in the shoes of an administrator, so I know what is needed. So yeah, it gives ideas, and I mean I already started to create new mods to do small, pretty targeted stuff for administration.
Now, Tailnia, what kind of history do you actually have in terms of mod development or server administration?
Mod development I've only recently gotten into. Server admin, I've run Minecraft servers for a couple of years. for basically just friends. So I've had to deal with a lot of these issues, but never really had tools or anything to do them with.
Yeah.
A lot of the times whenever I had to run into or fix a problem, it always had to be by hand. Go in and fix the player's file by hand. Oh, look, they fell out of the world. Load them up in NBT Explorer and put them back somewhere where they won't die. Yeah, stuff like that. And it's just... One of the things that actually got me into mod development was on one of the servers I ran for one of my friends, they would have a railcraft tank. And for some reason, they would somehow continuously keep glitching out the chunk that had their tank in it, and they would lose everything. So basically,
Ouch.
yeah, kind of annoying when you lose several million like fuel or anything else. So one of the first mods that I actually wrote was for handling fluids from the Forge Fluid Dictionary.
Right,
And-
you were telling me about that a few days ago.
Yeah, and not exactly released yet. I really should make it a little cleaner and actually release it, but it can act as a source for any fluid from the Fluid Dictionary. Either act as a tank source, force it into pipes, or act as a actual create into the world source. Just a nice little utility thing.
Very cool.
A lot of the other stuff that I do is I tend to see a problem and I try and fix it. Which is how I sort of got started with doing stuff with the professor. Like here's a couple of things for your code. Let me know what you think.
What? Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I
well-
remember. I think I remember the first time I popped into your IRC room, Professor, Mobius strip. I think the first time I remember seeing Tanya in there, it involved the Dolly code, if I remember right.
Oh, the dreaded Dali code.
Yeah, don't tell me about it.
I'm just saying.
I have a post-it on how to make it better.
You have a lot of
I don't remember
post-its.
what was the first thing you told me about.
So, basically, the server itself has kind of become multiple things. But it is also, amongst other things, more than just a test platform, it is also a perk on your Patreon system. It is one of the perks that people can actually get onto the server, help you test, spend some time with you and with Telnia, right?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, at first, I didn't really make it to be a test platform, but I realized that it was going to be interesting to test mod on it, and I'm trying to keep everything stable as possible. I'm not going to push something which is obviously broken, or it's not like it's not a test platform in the sense that I'm like, instead of making test in my test environment, I'm going to push it to the server and try it and shut down the server every 10 minutes to test something. Or it's still a place where you can build without fearing for your house to be disappear.
You're
Be
not...
burned down, exploded, or hit by a tornado. I don't guarantee. But I'm not going to delete chunks or delete the world for whatever reason.
You are trying to keep it up as a valid, stable, playable server. But you're also going to try and use it for a bit of a launch pad for some improvements and better ideas.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's a great idea. I really do. I also think that it's very cool because there's a lot of people that follow these developers that make one or two or even a collection of specific mods they really love, and they want to be able to spend some time, maybe even help their developers, whatever developer that may be, in specific ways. So I really do think this Patreon system that you have started with this server is a really great idea.
I think too, and it's working well. I mean, in the term of mod testing and getting in touch with people who really enjoy what we are doing, and I think overall it's really a good experience.
Well, I tell you what, you've actually got a lot of mods that I have never actually messed with, like Tropicraft. I never got in depth with, or some of the weather mods it's actually quite scary to be on the receiving end of one of those tornadoes.
Yeah. Well, you have to. If you want to complain to the Tropicraft team. For those.
I do think it actually does add a sense of fear and a new level of kind of danger to the game. I think it is actually interesting. It's just kind of horrifying when one hits.
It's what I really like. Well, first I put it because I saw one firsthand in a previous server. We had a lot of them. We were we could see the scars of the tornadoes, but we didn't know exactly what it was. And at some point, I saw one firsthand. I told myself, this stuff is amazing. I need to put it in. And now, every time you have like a thunderstorm on the server, people freak out.
You're worried.
Yeah, you do. Is it a tornado? Should I go out or not?
You get these storms, a rainstorm. It doesn't just start to rain. You get rain, then you start getting cracks of thunder, and you start hearing this horrifying noise in the background. If you have the volume, we discovered a client-side setting you can adjust on how bad the howling of the wind is, I guess is the best way I can say it. But when that starts picking up, the professor's right. You do start getting scared. You start to wonder if there's a tornado coming or not.
It adds a little bit of that first couple day experience of Minecraft back into the game. Usually in modded Minecraft, after the first night or two, you've got a cakewalk. You just sit in your base, do whatever you want. You got your armor, go out, kill the mobs. Now you actually have fear in your own base.
So, for those folks that actually haven't experienced one of these tornadoes, these things are basically a twisting mass of random blocks that it picks up along the way. You'll see dirt blocks and sand blocks, leaf blocks, wood, all sorts of crazy stuff that it picks up as it goes burrowing across the map, and you'll see a trench of destruction that it leaves in its path. It is completely amazing.
It actually took out a couple of people's bases already.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting stuff is it doesn't pick up any blocks. From my experience, it's picking up like dirt, wood, and anything which is like wooden. So it will pick up tables and doors and
yes,
and it's picking up micro blocks. So basically, if you build your house in stone, but with micro block windows and wooden door and have like a wooden roof, it's not going to do a lot of damage to the house, but it's going to tear off your roof and blow out your window and just drop like wood, dirt block all over the place from the previous from what it grabbed previously. So it's not like creeper destruction where basically you get like a big hole in your house, but it's like more targeted destruction like a real tornado, and it's really well done.
Yeah, see now, the first time I saw one on the server, or I guess immediately saw the aftermath, I should phrase it that way, it really did look like somebody had detonated one of your barrels from Java full of dirt, and it just sprayed it all over the place. It's like they just put a TNT block on top of it. It was crazy.
And you were not in the first one.
No,
the first one I was like, it's the first time I saw one on another server. I didn't have the time to go close to it. This time around, I saw it, and it came really close to the house. So I went out to check on it, and it's just starting to grab you and like send you flying across the map.
Yeah.
And I think if we had like animals, you had like flying cows and stuff in it. That was
that is mildly terrifying on several levels. Yes.
But the Tropicraft mod is really well done. I mean, even the world generation of the dimension is really, really amazing.
Tailnia, have you actually had a chance to go to the Tropicraft dimension yet?
I've been avoiding it, actually. All I remember was when you went over there and you're like, okay, I'm dead. I have to start vanilla to even get back out.
I was horrified.
Yeah.
I went over there completely kind of by accident. I drank the wrong drink sitting in the wrong piece of furniture, basically, and I ended up in another dimension. You get over there, and there are these things that are I think they're called island heads or Easter Island heads.
Oh yeah,
And they're
you can't kill them.
yeah. Well, you can kill them. You have to use a pickaxe. That's the trick.
Fun.
They don't take damage from anything except a pickaxe, so you have to mine them. The problem is, I didn't actually look that up on the wiki until after I died once, and one of them was spawn camping my grave. So all of my stuff was sitting in my grave. I was basically completely itemless. I had to go start vanilla, like first night stuff all over again to get a pick, so I could actually kill the one on my gravestone and then get my crap back. Other than that, it's great. It's fantastic. It really is beautiful. You see all of these. They have iguanas and they have like stingrays and all these exotic looking fish in the water. There's little island villages with island people that you can do trading with, and you can do fishing. And there's buried treasure. It's very cool. It's very well thought out. I've never used it before.
Yeah, it's one of the most fledged dimension I think I saw so far. It's completely different. It's not just like retexturing or like redoing the same items with a bit of different power or anything like this. It's really it has its own personality. It's really interesting.
So, in speaking of other dimensions and mods that are actually on this server that I've never messed with before, you've got Erebus. I know nothing about that mod.
Yeah, I didn't try it. We just give a quick look into it, and I think if you have like this kind of fear of insects, you shouldn't go there. Because the only thing we saw a bit about it is when you enter it, it's full of flies and crawling stuff and basically insects. But it have like a really, really interesting really interesting blocks, like bamboo bridges and things like this.
Cool.
They're really nice.
And then we also have Atum, A-T-U-M. I don't know anything about that one either. Never messed with it.
Okay, so Atom, it's quite easy. It was one of the top ranked mods from ModJam 2, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it was ModJam 2. And it's a desert dimension. Basically, it's Egypt.
So it's like ancient Egypt.
So you have like pyramids and pharaohs and traps, and it's absolutely deadly.
It's absolutely deadly?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most dangerous place you can go in.
There's a few spots in the overworld where it's genned. The basic monsters have like 80 hit points and hit like a truck.
And it's so imagine a giant desert. So everything is flat, and you have from time to time thunderstorms, which is basically like a full reduction of your the fog come to very close, so you don't see anything anymore. And monsters are starting to pop like crazy, and you get like submerged by a wave of bandits and all sort of zombies and mummies and things like this. And it's just one of the most deadly place you can imagine. And the pyramids are a bit like the Twilight Forest maze. Basically, it's a place you can't really destroy the wall or anything, so you have to visit the pyramid, and it's full of traps. And traps are things like you walk along a path, and there is like a hidden plate. You walk on it, and you get flamethrowers throwing flame from the wall, so you start burning. And at the same time, you have monsters coming in, or like things I think throwing darts at you. So it's really one of the most deadly places. And you have like a full set of items you can collect: armor, staff, wand, etc. Which is quite powerful, and you can end up being like fire immune with flight etc. So basically,
Wow.
it's really interesting. Well, Morph.
So it sounds like you
Nerf it a
actually
bit, yeah.
it sounds like you actually have not just a collection of early game mods and tech mods and magic mods. It sounds like you actually have a lot of late game mods as well.
Yeah, Atoon is totally late game. It's after that I'm not sure exactly. I mean, late game would be like. What do you call late game? That's the thing because it's yeah, late
There's
game will be something that when you have the most powerful stuff, you don't. You have still a challenge. So I guess Atoon, yeah.
yeah, it is
Match,
kind of relative, I guess, in Minecraft because it really depends upon your progression rate and how you progress in comparison to other people because it's not a level based system.
but yeah, I guess there's like Erebus. I think it's quite dangerous too because you have like a lot of enemies. Atoon is also really dangerous. I tried at first. I was not like really planning on it, but at the end we have quite a few dimensions. I think something like 8 or 9 dimensions,
Yeah.
which each provide like interesting challenges.
So you've actually got quite an eclectic collection of mods. You've got things like Erebus and Atom and Tropicraft, but you've also got underground biomes. You've got I have to think about this. You're actually using extra biomes Excel and biomes of plenty, aren't you?
Yeah, we are using both, but it was maybe a slight. Maybe it was a bit too much, but well.
Well, it definitely gives a variety in terms of the kind of trees and the environment and the way the biomes have actually developed. I actually think it's kind of interesting. The underground biomes definitely add a lot, and I've never used it before. It's very interesting to see the change in rock color as you go deeper down and change into different biomes.
Yeah, underground biomes. I tried it a while back, and what I remember, the biomes were a bit not as interesting. But now it became really interesting, and each rock has this like unique durability. So if you end up finding granite, I think it's really hard to dig through. So you try to move around it, and the vanilla generation of ores depends also on the biome a bit. So basically, I think you have like some biomes that are a bit harder, but you get more diamonds, and others where you get more lapis, and all the rocks you can make like smooths and bricks out of them. So it gives also a lot of variety to construction. So it's it's a really interesting mod.
So overall, I think how big of a change would this have been for you in terms of setting up the server with Patreon? Has this been a real big change in your normal developmental routine? Has it been a slight change?
Yeah, it has been like quite a big change because I didn't like push any update for the last 2 weeks, so I didn't have time for it.
But the server itself is helping you find some things that you normally yourself wouldn't have found because they're multiplayer-centric bugs.
Yeah.
Well, very cool, very cool.
So yeah, so it let me like I think it did let me find a few really nasty bugs, and with the help of Taelnia to fix them. So yeah, I think it's going to make the releases, if not more frequent, at least of better quality. So.
Well, the Mobius World server has quietly become my refuge away from most of my other things when I'm supposed to be doing real work somewhere. I've been hanging out here and generally causing trouble or trying to fix some problem with the professor and Talia, usually having my head spun by code speak, but I try to keep up.
Yeah, and you build a tiki bar. So
yes.
Everything good.
I do have a tiki bar. I need to actually go back to the Tropicraft dimension That's one thing that I was talking to Talon about earlier, Professor. You made a solution to pre-generate parts of the world, the overworld, so that the players don't lag out other people on the server by making new world gen.
Yeah.
Could you expound upon that a little bit on how you're doing it?
I mean, it's
or not.
What technical?
Yeah, I mean, you just said like you get your head spin off by Codspeak.
But
basically, I'm just doing like the normal stuff.
So
I mean, I'm doing what Minecraft is doing. So
you're just doing it ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm doing it ahead of time, and I'm cleaning up as I'm doing it because Minecraft has a few problems when you try to generate large section of land. But basically, it's just when you move your player, tell the server know where you are, and the server say, "I'm going to generate a new chunk, or I'm going to read it from disk."
Right.
And instead of waiting for the player to go there, I'm just like taking all the chunks and saying, "Give me this chunk, give me this chunk, give me this chunk." So basically, I can like generate large portion of maps. Not quickly, but at least I can do it beforehand. But you have quite a few, not mods, but scripts doing this already. But they are doing it by moving the spawn point and restarting the server every time. And I guess it works well for like server with a small amount of mods. But if I did try this on this server with the number of mods we have and everything, since it takes between maybe, I think, 30 seconds to start the server, and you are generating, I think it's maybe 400 chunks every time you move the spawn point, it will take like hours to do it.
So what you're doing is generate. Now, I do remember you said that you were finding little bits of cached data from the different parts that were being generated, like biomes and things like that. And that's what you're having to go back and clean up. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, that I mean, it's one of the first version was generating the chunks, but without much cleaning up. So you ended up with basically crashing because you didn't have enough memory. And the new version is just like cleaning up as it goes. So emptying, generated data and biomes and stuff like this as it goes. So now I can generate a rather large portion of land. So something like 300 chunks by 300 chunks.
How long does it take to generate that?
With vanilla, it takes 30 minutes.
300 chunks by 300 chunks in 30 minutes.
Yeah. With our current configuration, well, it's more or less what I did generate, and it took, I think, 2.5 hours or 3 hours. But we have a lot more mods.
Right.
Like doing stuff.
So the both of you had been, of course, involved in the server since it opened up. How long's it been running, and what kind of differences have you seen in performance since it opened up?
It has been running for 2 weeks now, I think.
About that. And in
in
terms of performance, it seems to be getting a little bit better now, although we have a certain person with harvesters that is killing it every so often.
So, yeah, we have a sacred rubber tree that got grown, and a player had... Oh, speak of the devil, I hear thunder.
Yep.
And that player has been ever since trying to, well, let's say, get rid of this massive, abysmal amount of rubber wood ever since.
Yeah, and looks like he is having a lot of fun doing it. So,
well, he's discovering very quickly what stuff works and does not work on rubber wood. Apparently, it's nigh indestructible, according to him.
Yeah, he's also discovering very quickly what innovative ways to crash the server today, which leads to many more bug fixing rounds.
So now we do make it sound kind of, strange, but the server is actually running really, really good, especially over the last week. It's been a big improvement from like the first couple of nights where we had machine gun skeletons chasing us down.
I still miss those. If they didn't have as nasty performance hit as they did, I would want them in.
Okay, it's a big challenge, yes, but I tell you what, those guys were evil. Anyway.
Well, like I mentioned before, I'm a fan of things that make the survival aspect of survival stick around a little longer.
Yeah, and that definitely has merit. It's these guys were hardcore rapid fire archers. It was nasty.
Yeah, but I didn't remove them for that, because of that. I removed them because
they were buggy.
It was like I think it was a bad interaction with roguelike dungeons. It was spawning like thousands of them.
Yeah, and I do remember you talking about that, finding these weird pockets of bad performance where you could almost cross over a chunk line and your frame rate and everything would just go through the floor. It would just be horrible.
So I'm not sure what really happened, but I think there is maybe a bug with spawner code.
Well,
that's what hit me early on in the server. Go searching for an abyssal geode and get locked, unable to move. Because there's skeletons spawning thousands nearby.
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what. The big reason why I've been wanting to get this video recorded, and I wrangled the professor and Telnia into this room, virtually speaking, is because I really would like to make a regular series of kind of getting a perspective on what's going on the server. And I didn't want to get too far into things before I got an official introduction and kind of a kickoff for the server itself and for the professor and for Telnia. So I think this is going to be a real good starting point for us, and I'd love to do some more videos from here in the future.
Well, if you want us on stream to do the video, it will be my pleasure.
Always a pleasure to speak with you.
There is, unfortunately, a big time gap between me and the professor.
Well, yes, but the professor seems to have a more U.S. sleep schedule than most of the Europeans we have here.
Actually, I've noticed that, yeah. I'm still working on the robot from the future theory, but I'm ironing out some of the bumps on that one.
You will never know.
Expanded the room slightly, Professor.
Yeah, I was wondering if I had like a rendering bug or if one of the wall was gone.
No, the wall's actually gone.
Okay.
That wall is actually not there anymore. Yeah, I have actually...
I had to expand out this far because otherwise the pattern in the ceiling did not make sense.
I actually started off first night, and I died several times, quite horribly, trying to cower in a cave with at Teddy here, also known as Radar for Homies. He was real nice to house me over the first couple of nights the server was up, but I had to make a mad dash for it because we started getting invaded by skeletons, and the first thing I ran across and killed was a chicken. So I stayed as a chicken. It had slow fall. It meant I wouldn't die from fall damage, and I could duck under bushes and into small holes, and that just kind of became a running gag. There was a point, Professor, where I was actually living under your stairs. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was, but you didn't tell it before, so I had like I had the good surprise to find a small trapdoor under the stairs with like your name on it.
Yeah. So now your house has kind of turned into the commune. I decided to give you a little bit more space and moved out next door, but I've kind of stayed with the chicken thing just as a, I don't know, some weird quirk, but it's been fun.
I like how compact you've been building your new place with all the floors being only one high. It's definitely made some interesting design choices for you.
I've had to actually change the way that I think and how I've actually built that place.
So now you think like a chicken?
Kind of, I guess. As I said, you do remind me of a certain chicken-oriented businessman here in the States. It's the skin, I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. I never really noticed it before, but you are correct on that.
Ha! See?
Yeah.
See?
Now that's the only thing that people are going to see.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it did, once I figured that one out and put two and two together, it did kind of put the fear of God into me when I'm in chicken mode, so.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we can wrap things up for here on this first episode, but I would love to come back when we get some time and get some more updates, see how the server's running, see what kind of changes in development perspective it's been for you guys, because I think it's been really opening your eyes in terms of a new way to look at things.
Yeah, sure, bring like a lot of interesting data on mods and interaction and the way
lots
to...
of ideas on cross-mod interaction.
So I guess here would be a good question that I can end with. Do you foresee some new tools for server administrators coming out of this?
Oh yeah, lot. I mean, it's already started, even if it's not public. I mean, if only the pre-gen stuff and also like some tile entity detection system and yeah, I mean, it's already. It's not like in the future. I already started doing like small one-timer mods for really special cases and yeah, so it was one of the possible outcome of this. It's finding new ideas of finally seeing the other side of the fence and seeing what was needed.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate...
Even just getting it running, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Required creating some mods to get the thing running.
Yeah,
because
right,
of all of the mod packs. This is one of the largest mod packs I've seen. It's even larger than Direwolf's pack by like 50-something mods. It exposed a few cross-mod interaction bugs that just would have killed the server right off the bat. So we had to take care of a few things right away just to even get the server running.
Yeah, there is some cross-mod conflicts that Forge doesn't detect by default. So I had to put together like a bit of code to detect, if only, better storage and Eternal Frost rendering problem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was nasty.
Which was really it's a weird problem, and there is no way to detect it or to fix it properly without having like a detection system for it.
Well, I can fairly say that I have learned more about mods and how mods work in the last, I think, 2.5 weeks than I ever knew. So it's definitely been educational for me.
And now you know where is Ongar. Oh, never mind. I'm not able to promise it.
Well, I would like to thank both of you for being a very gracious host for me and allowing me to step on the server and generally cause some shenanigans. It's been very, very cool, and hopefully we can get some time here in the next maybe week or so and get some more stuff recorded and just generally cause some trouble together.
Yeah, no problem.
Not a problem. It's generally very fun.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. This is going to be Vaygrim signing off, and keep your eyes open for more tales from Mobius World. Bye-bye.